Day one of the NBA playoffs has commenced. We got 4 games to cover. Let's start with the Boston Celtics and New York Knicks game. And before the game, Kevin Garnett and Carmelo Anthony were speaking their minds about what happened at the Boston Marathon incident. And they're both very class acts, and it was a terrible tragedy. They were both they both gave their hearts and condolences to all those affected. And as the game got started, Carmelo started out hot. He got 12 points in about the first 6 minutes of the game, but then he got cold, and it allowed the Celtics to come back and take a 3-point lead by the end of the first at 29-26. And then Jeff Green just comes out of nowhere. He was hitting 3 after 3 and then bucket after bucket. He ended up hitting 7 free throws throughout the game as well. He would have 20 first half points as the Celtics had a 4-point lead at halftime. Carmelo kind of went cold, but he still ended up with about 19 points in the first half. But the problem with that is, out of like the 27 possessions he had the entire first half, he only passed 3 times, no assist. He had a couple turnovers as well. It's just this is what the problem is with Carmelo. I will say he's the second best player in the Eastern Conference, but if he doesn't work on his passing game and work to get other teammates better all the time, then there could be some trouble, and he needs to develop that if they want to get a chance to advance to the finals, much less beat the Miami Heat if they get that far. But anyway, we go on to the second half. Knicks down by 4, but their defense stepped up to the challenge. I mean, the Knicks offense wasn't going too well in the third quarter, but they were able to cut it to 3 by the end of the third. And then the fourth quarter, the Knicks defense was just devouring Boston, and really the entire Boston offense struggled for the most part. Jeff Green was the leading scorer with 26, but he only had 6 in the second half. Paul Pierce had 21 on 6 of 15 shooting. He was off from 3 the entire time. He only hit 1 3 out of 7 attempts. Kevin Garnett struggled from offensively, 4 for 12, 8 points. And Jason Terry, the guy they wanted to be the replacement Ray Allen, had 0 points on 0 of 5 shooting. He couldn't make anything. And this is bad. If they can't even get from their potential 6-man, and I know Jason Terry's done this all year, I wonder if his heart's still in Dallas or if something's just not right with him. Like, I know his first year in Dallas didn't work out so well, so maybe this is just the first year of Boston not working out for him. Who knows? But the Celtics offense was nowhere. I mean, the Knicks only had 18 points in the fourth, but the Celtics only had 8. And the problem I had with the Knicks is that they settled for a lot of threes. I mean, I know they're kind of a 3-point shooting team, but I believe they shot 0 for 8 in the fourth quarter from 3-point range. You got to pound inside the paint whenever you can, but I will give a lot of credit to Kenyon Martin for playing excellent defense on Kevin Garnett when it mattered the most. But the Knicks really, and Carmelo's only assist of the game came with the last shot made of the game, as he assisted to Kenyon Martin and pretty much put the exclamation point in an 85-78 Game 1 victory over Boston. I think the Knicks were here to make a statement, not so much on offense but on defense. Their defense devoured Boston, and the Celtics are gonna have to find another way around. Pierce and Garnett are gonna have to improve if they want a chance to upset the Knicks in this series. Game 2, we got that on Tuesday night. Now let's go on to the fast-paced Wild West showdown, Warriors-Nuggets. Nuggets are almost unbeatable at home. They got out to a decent start. They were up by 3 by the end of the first quarter. But courtesy of note, Stephon Curry, the Warriors' main guy, I thought he struggled quite a bit. I don't know if he was nervous in this game or what. But either way, Klay Thompson, though, he was the one giving the points in the first half. He had about 16, 18 by the half. And the Warriors were able to go on a big run. But the Nuggets were able to cut it down to 4 after a breakaway fast break really by Andre Iguodala cut it to 4. So Warriors missed a golden opportunity, but still outscored the Nuggets by 7 in the second quarter, which allowed them to have a 4-point lead. And then we go into the third quarter. They both teams really struggled at first, the half of that third quarter to really get shots going. But then once Denver got on a roll, they just went running and they never looked back as they outscored them by 11, and that put it up to a 7-point lead by Denver. But as much as Denver had the lead for most of that second half, Golden State never went away. Whether it was an 8, 9, 11-point lead, Golden State was able to cut back in. And there is a note. David Lee did get injured in the fourth quarter. He popped his hip, and he said something did not feel right, but the X-rays were negative, so he might be back very soon, like the next game or maybe game 3. But Denver and Golden State just kept fighting and fighting. They thought the end of the game would be during the final minute. Ty Lawson gets a strip steal and layup, and it would go on to a 3-point lead. And he thought it'd be over, but then Stephon Curry hit one of his 4 threes to tie the game at 95 with only about 20 seconds left. And then 27 seconds left, and then it came down to the final possession where Andre Miller, 37-year-old, who had 26 points before this shot, drives right in on their best defender, makes the layup, and they go up by 2. And then the Warriors were out of timeout, so they had no choice but to toss a full court one, and it was over. The Nuggets survive at home, 97-95, and this was without. We already know Danilo Gallinari is not going to be back. But Kenneth Reed didn't even play in this game either, and they said he was going to come back like the next game. So I think the Golden State Warriors missed a golden opportunity. If there was any chance they could steal one on the road, this was it, and they let it slip away. Give props to Andre Miller. 28 points, 11 of 16 shooting, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 5 assists. He dominated. He dictated that game, and they needed someone to step. And they need someone to step up like every night. And it was him tonight because they got to replace Danilo Gallinari's offensive performance as well as Kenneth Faried's. And also, JaVale McGee had a pretty sick dunk in the first or second quarter on Andrew Bogut. But other than that, David Lee finished the game with a double-double, 10 points, 14 rebounds. X-rays were negative, so he should be back soon. Klay Thompson, 22 points, but he struggled in the second half, only getting 6 of his 22 in the second half. And Steph Curry struggled, 7 of 20, 19 points. He's got to improve if Golden State wants a chance to win this series. Let's go on to Chicago, Brooklyn. Did the Bulls even realize that the playoffs started yet? Because they played abysmal. The Nets jumped out of the gate to an 11-point lead at the end of the first quarter and never looked back at all. It felt like nobody showed up. Joakim Noah did play today. They thought he wasn't going to, but he did. Derrick Rose, however, did not. But Noah was only able to play 13 minutes, but not like it mattered because the Bulls couldn't score at all. Their highest scorer was Carlos Boozer at 25 points, but they really couldn't get anything going, and their defense was abysmal. Darren Williams was just torching Nate Robinson all night long, and among any other point guard that tried to get in his way, as well as Brook Lopez dominated the paint. D. Will ended up getting 22 for the game. Brook Lopez got 21. The Nets jumped out to a 25-point halftime lead, and then it eventually went to 27-point lead at the end of the third quarter after a sick steal and transition dunk by Darren Williams. And the Bulls did cut 10 points off of that deficit in the fourth, but it didn't really matter. The Nets walked away in the cakewalk, 106-89, as the Nets and Bulls will play on Monday night on TNT. Now let's go on to the Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Clippers. This was a great series last year. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say Warriors Nuggets Tuesday night on TNT. But anyway, back to the Memphis Clippers. This is one of the series I was really anticipating from the West because they had a great series last year. I was hoping for an even better one this year. The Clippers jumped out of the game on a fast note behind the attack of Chris Paul, and then Chauncey Billups would play his first playoff game in 2 years. Clippers jumped out to an 8-point lead. The Grizzlies kept trying to fight back in it, but they were only able to cut it to 6 by halftime, and it would stay that way throughout the third. And then the fourth quarter, I think the Clippers bench and their whole team proved to be too much on this day. As Eric Bledsoe went off, he went 7 of 7 for 15 points. That's pretty good, and he didn't even take a single three. So, and then he had Jamal Crawford, 13 points in his first playoff game of his young career. Chris Paul, 23 points, 7 assists. Blake Griffin struggled, though. He only had 10 points, but it didn't seem to matter today. Caron Butler played pretty well, though. He had 13. The Grizzlies, though, they needed a little more from Marc Gasol. He struggled heavily in this game. He had 16 points, but half of that came from the free throw line. Zach Randolph struggled, 13 points, but he only took 10 shots though. I thought he should have dominated the paint a little bit more, but they were so far behind that I think they had to take another different approach. Mike Conley, he was supposed to be one of the keys in this game, and he only had 12 points and 5 assists. So something's gonna have to give between now and the next game on Tuesday. I believe Tuesday night? No, Monday night. Sorry. This next game is going to be on Monday night, but the Clippers won 112-91 in a game that was pretty close for a while, but then turned out to be a blowout. And let's see if the Grizzlies can retaliate Monday night on TNT. That's all I'm going to do it for today. Be sure to come back later tonight as I cover day 2 of the NBA playoffs. We have Pacers, Hawks, Spurs, Lakers. We have Heat, Bucks, and Rockets, Thunder. Take care.